I will say this, that photo evidence is important here. And maybe the most important one to me is poop in the bed.
Yes.
And as humorous as that may seem on a level, there's significance to this. And I'll tell you what it is. So we knew this story shortly after the divorce was filed. But Amber and Johnny, Amber was having a birthday party at their loft in downtown LA.
Real 92.3, LA's new home for hip hop, Big Boy's neighborhood. Beautiful day in the neighborhood, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to see the ending of a saga. We have Harvey Levin in the neighborhood from TMZ. Harvey, I've been watching this series called Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard, and the series finale may happen this Friday. How has this looked, bro?
Well, look, I mean, number one, the testimony should end on Friday. Closing argument should end on Friday. I have no idea, Big Boy, how long the jury will take to decide who's lying, who's telling the truth. There is a lot to sort out. Now, it would seem to me that this should take days.
Right.
I thought the same thing with the O.J. Simpson verdict, and it took 2 hours. So I don't know. But by all rights, there is so much and so many accusations and counter accusations that it would just seem to me this is going to take a long time for the jury to deliberate and reach a conclusion.
How do you feel when you're sitting down watching that, Harvey Levin? Do you feel like anyone has the upper hand? And not that if you were on the jury, would you make a decision right now? But in the court of public opinion, it appears that Johnny Depp is more favorable right now in the court of public opinion. How do you feel about where you see the trial, the case so far?
Well, I completely agree with you in terms of public opinion. It is overwhelmingly in favor of Johnny Depp.
Right.
Overwhelmingly. In fact, we put a story up over the weekend that a domestic violence group actually came out and said, we have compassion for Johnny Depp.
Wow.
So that's the extent to which people are siding with him. You never know with the jury. So here's the thing, Big Boy. Johnny Depp is saying Amber Heard is making all of this up about domestic violence, and she has just made accusation after accusation after accusation. The jury theoretically could decide that every single one of her accusations are lies, except for one. And if they find even one incident where they believe Johnny Depp abused her, it seems to me he could lose the case, because it doesn't matter if it's 1 or 20. If it exists, it exists. And he's saying it never happened. So to that extent, you know, the jury can glom on to any one of these things, and it could be problematic for Johnny. That said, the only case that is verifiable where everybody concedes there was an incident of domestic violence was at the hands of Amber against Johnny. There was one incident where she acknowledged it. So, you know, it's unclear what their jury is going to do, but I do think that they're going to have to go through these one by one and really kind of drill down and make a decision on who they believe is lying and who's telling the truth.
And we're seeing also that people are saying that when it comes to Amber Heard's law team, that they're being like outmaneuvered, outsmarted. I mean, when they go to make some kind of motion or something, it just feels like I could be in the courtroom doing just as bad or as good as, you know, as they're doing. And you being a lawyer, do you sit there and you see the path as they're starting to lay out these little either Skittles or chips to follow me? You see exactly where some of this questioning is going, correct?
Yeah. I mean, look, Amber's lawyer, Camille Vasquez, is absolutely outmaneuvering Amber's lawyers. There's just no doubt about it. And, you know, when Amber's lawyer got up and started asking questions, and there was objection after objection, all of which were sustained in front of the jury, her lawyer kind of looks up in the air, just completely flummoxed, and says, "I'm trying." She's a good lawyer, but that was a shocking statement to me, that a lawyer shouldn't wave the white flag in front of the jury. And it really shocked me. But yeah, I mean, I think Johnny's team is clearly outmaneuvering Amber's lawyers.
What about what Amber Heard, like really doing her testimony towards the jury? Is that a good thing for her? Is it believable, or do you feel like they're looking at it as a little bit ridiculous as well?
Well, look, I mean, what the overlay to this case is, you get Joe Schmo and Jane Schmo up there, and, they're ordinary people, and they testify to what they testify to, and a jury decides, are they telling the truth or not? In this case, both litigants are actors, and not just actors, but really top end actors. And so the jury is going to have to make decisions and kind of evaluate, were they acting or were they telling the truth? And I think that complicates things because I believe that's going to come up in the jury room. It almost certainly will come up in the jury room. Somebody's going to make a point, and the other person who disagrees is going to say, well, they're actors. And that's why I think this gets a little more complicated than the average case. Now,
I've never smoked weed in my life. Harvey, I've only gotten drunk once in my life, and that was 1994. By choice, I wanted to try something. And Lord knows I've never done cocaine. But as I'm looking at the photo evidence, that was the neatest display of cocaine that I have ever seen in my life. And I would think, now I know people that snorted cocaine. I've seen it in the movies, Harvey. And I think people just throw it down, line it up, and they snort it. I saw the pre-lines. I saw the ID there, the drink that was poured, the cigarette that was not lit. And then what, did he get up and walk away from this beautiful scenery of cocaine? And then she was able to come and take a picture. Have you been kind of thrown off by the photo evidence?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert either in that.
Right. Do you have anyone there with you that knows about the cocaine or anything? Okay.
Not that I know.
What about the person behind you over your shoulder, over your right shoulder? Do you drug test it? Okay.
I'm pretty confident. No.
Okay. All righty. So just from two non-cocaine addicts, please.
Look, I will say this, that photo evidence is important here. And maybe the most important one to me is poop in the bed.
Yes.
And as humorous as that may seem on a level, there's significance to this. And I'll tell you what it is. So we knew this story shortly after the divorce was filed. But Amber and Johnny, Amber was having a birthday party at their loft in downtown LA. And she had some friends over. Johnny came over late, and she was upset that he was late. And when he was in there, he was only there for a short time, and he just decided, I don't want to be at this, and he bailed. So the next day, Johnny got a call from his housekeeper along with a photo saying, I have to tell you, I found poop on your side of the bed, and it was covered with a sheet. Now, Johnny believed that the culprit was Amber and that it was revenge for leaving the party. And he said at that point, that was the end, the final straw. That's when he decided the marriage was over. Amber insists that this was not hers or any other human being's, that it was the dog. Yeah. They have two dogs. The problem with that is the poop is like this big, and the dog is only like this big. The dog's like 3 pounds. And so it seems highly improbable that a dog this big can excrete poop that's this big, almost as big as the dog. So the reason I think it's significant is that, this became a big issue in the trial, and it goes to credibility. And if the jury disbelieves Amber and says she's lying about this, there's an old adage in the law for trial lawyers, and that is, you say to a witness who gets caught in a lie, well, if you're lying about this, what else are you lying about?
Right.
And that's the way you destroy credibility. So I think that's going to be an issue, and it all revolves around the photo.
It seems so much, how when you have like a child and the child is lying to you and you're looking and you're knowing, like, come on, you're lying. Even the dog had to be like, come on now, Amber, please don't put this one on me. Don't put this one on me. If the dog could talk, but when you see how ridiculous this is, man, and it's kind of sad because I've been sitting here, and no pun intended, watching this shit show. and really enjoying what's going on. And when we get back to, the photos of the poop, when we talk about, the photos of the cocaine, and then the allegations of physical abuse, which is very serious, Harvey. But when you look at and you see, Camille break down, okay, well, you went out the night after this. Okay, well, this was after the Met Gala. You were supposed to be bruised. And you're hearing, it was makeup. My nose was broken. We had great makeup artists. Like, I would think that there's times when I have to go do an appearance or something. And if I'm not feeling great, Harvey, I just don't go. And not you answering for her, but I never heard what was so important about showing up to these television shows and these parties and everything if you had been physically assaulted and going out in public and having these pictures taken and then seeing them doctored up.
Yeah, well, listen, if the jury believes they're doctored up, this is a fundamental problem for Amber Heard, for sure. Absolutely. No question. Beyond that, in terms of why people do what they do, I've given up trying to figure that out long ago, that people have different reasons for it. Some people hide things that they just don't want to talk about. So I don't know why she didn't cancel. I don't know what, I can't jump in her head, but I do think what you just raised is an issue that jurors could talk about in the deliberation room, that, there have been issues about whether some of these alleged bruises are made up. Are there makeup or something other than real bruises? And it's going to become a real issue for the jury because, again, look, Big Boy, the allegations of violence here, of domestic violence, everybody thinks that her allegations began with the marriage. That's not so. They got married in 2015. She is claiming back as far as 2012, when they started dating, that he was physically abusive to her. The first instance, he said he has a tattoo that says wino. He had changed it from Winona Ryder after they broke up. And she looked at the tattoo and laughed, and she claims that he slapped her 3 times. And that was 2012. So, this goes so far back that she, one of the things the jury might say is, wait a minute, if that happened, why did she marry him 3 years later? And she says it was kind of unrelenting. Now, she said, look, I figured when we got married, maybe it would stop. But according to her, this had gone on for years before they ended up getting married. And I don't know how the jury is going to receive that and process that. It may be problematic for her.
And what about the $7 million that she said, you know what, I'm going to give all this to charity? And just watching Camille Vasquez just eat her up on the stand about the 7 million, the 100,000 here, Elon Musk. And I'm sitting here and I'm watching this. And if I were Amber, I would sit and I'm like, oh my God, I know where this is going. I know this is the time when you're an actress. I don't know. Do you faint? I would faint. I would probably, go bubble guts, probably go back to silent film where I don't say anything. But when you saw the 7 million and she held on to the 7 million for like 13 months and still was saying she was going, it was a pledge. It was a pledge. And we know the difference between the pledge and the donation. How bad was that for her on top of everything else, Harvey?
I think it's bad for her. And as a matter of fact, we looked at this, shortly after the settlement was made and she pledged to give it to charity. We had been hearing rumblings as well that good luck for these organizations getting the money. And we had checked and they hadn't. Now, fast forward to today and, she gives reasons for it. But you're right. I mean, look, this all goes to credibility, Big Boy. And that is what this case is about. This is largely a he said, she said case. Now, there have been other witnesses testifying. There have been people coming on the stand saying Johnny was abusive to me, saying, no, he was sweet to me. And I don't know how that's going to play. But ultimately, I think the jury's really got to look at these two people and say, did it happen? And, again, judging from public sentiment, overwhelmingly, it's in favor of Johnny. That doesn't mean the jury is going to feel the same way. And we're just going to have to see. I have seen plenty of cases where the majority of people feel a trial is going one way and the jury just shocks everybody. But we'll see.
Do you have any TMZ people that's sitting actually in the courtroom?
No. I mean, this is all being live streamed, so we're able to see, the entire trial. And that's the final thing that I kind of want to say, which is there have been so many horrendous allegations going both ways here that, you know, the jury could end up, and I don't know whether they're going to do this, but they could end up saying, we cannot sort out the pots and pans of your marriage and figure out who did what to whom. And because of that, we're going to throw our hands up in the air. Neither of you have met the burden of proof, 0-0. I mean, they could do that, and it could end up 0-0. I mean, I think that's a scenario that's possible because they could base it on burden of proof. We don't believe anybody. It's like there's so many allegations, they can't make heads or tails of them. That's a possibility, but it's almost a cop-out for the jury to do something like that. And I'm not sure in a high-profile case like this, they want to look like they've copped out. So my guess is that's not going to happen, but, you know, they may struggle with going through all of these incidents and figuring out who they believe and who they don't.
Are you going to miss this, Harvey? Because it seems like for what we do in radio, and I'm pretty sure for what you do with TMZ, this is what we call low-hanging fruit. Sure. Are you going to miss this once we come to the series finale that's coming up soon?
I mean, look, it is a really interesting case, and we've covered so many cases.
I know you covered mine. Thank you, Harvey.
I mean, look, I remember covering O.J. Simpson, and the reason O.J. Simpson resonated so with people is because it was a soap opera. It was sex and violence and betrayal and great-looking people and intrigue and murder. Here you've got many of the same elements, and I think that's what makes these trials riveting. And you know, you see movie stars and the glitz and glamour and the red carpet, and everybody feels that's real, which it isn't. And then all of a sudden they see the paradox of what supposedly is going on behind closed doors. And it's fascinating because it's just turning Hollywood on its head. And I think that's one of the reasons people are so interested in this.
Man, Harvey, I thank you for jumping on with us, bro. Every time you come on to the neighborhood, it makes us sound so professional. You know, all I got to do is throw something up to you. You answer it very well. I appreciate you. I know it's extremely busy over there. These rappers are getting arrested. It's a lot going on in your world as well. So thank you for your time, Harvey Levin.
Absolutely. Anytime, big boy.
And Harvey, if anything else is coming up that has my name on it, can you just tip me off?
Is something coming up, big boy?
No, not that I know of. I mean, shit, I got to ask you. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Harvey, are people afraid of you?
No. Are you kidding?
So I'm the only one.
You're not. We're friends. Come on. You know.
Right. Okay, Harvey. We are friends, but I'm telling you, when your name pop up on my phone, I start thinking about, oh my God, do I have a kid from 25 years ago? Like, I don't, did I say?
It's usually how you doing, big boy.
Oh yeah, I'm doing fine, Harvey. Thank you so much, my man. And I'll see you at the rap party for the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial. You know,
rap party.
Yeah, man. Okay, have yourself a great one, Harvey Levin from TMZ. Thank you for your time, Big Boy's Neighborhood.